Hello all, welcome to study 68 of the Solving Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. This study is from Vitaly Chekhover. He was another Soviet chess player and chess composer. He was also a pianist, so compositions were on his blood. He is more known for the knight and games, but I think this is also an interesting study for us. Uh, as always, if you haven't watched the guide, so you are better prepared for the practice. And after the countdown, I'll check you with you again with the solution. And here we are. And as always, let's start with the first right only move, which is King E7 exclamation mark. Okay, why this study? This study is very interesting because the first thing we notice is black is playing for a win, white for a draw, of course, and next moves will be the bishop trying to remove from the promotion square and then promote the bishop. But of course, white is still very well placed to defend because when the bishop moves away, I simply advance my g pawn and keep controlling the promotion square. I can sacrifice the bishop for the pawn, and it will be at least a draw for white. So this is the idea. And with that notion in mind, I can see that these pieces are frozen because I can also I don't move my pawn, otherwise the bishop takes my bishop. So uh, these ones are these pieces are in mutual zugzag, which leave us to play just the king. If the king goes to a light square, let's say, for example, over here, this allows the bishop to remove with tempo because it's check, and next move will be a promotion to a queen and an easy win for black. So very fast I can see that I am forced to move the king and it needs to go to a dark square and the only available is e7. So by exclusion of all possible moves, I can go directly to the solution. But let's go deeper. What is another option that black has to win this one? Well, a simple one is to notice that if the king is in h4, I can remove my bishop as black because there won't be a pawn advance to protect the promotion. As the king is in h4, I can take the bishop next move. So this is something I need to consider. I need to be worried every time if the king, black king, can reach h4. And because white can only go to dark squares, black will also play with that, using the opposition to force black into a situation where it needs to go to the wrong path, of course. Let's say, for example, white goes all the way until a3 using dark squares. Of course, black will go at the same time to c3. And when reaching this position, as you can see now, the king only has two options, but both options are light squares, which will enable a check on c4 or a sacrifice on b5 with check, and next move will be bringing a queen. So, as you can see, it's very important from the beginning to understand what's going on. And now it's easier to find a solution because we already know we need to count the moves so the king can reach h4. At the same time, we also need to understand what to do when if we are cornered. So we need to reach a situation where we are going to need to go to a light square, and that can be a problem. So let's start. We move the king to a dark square. Of course, black king comes to another dark square. Here, the first situation, I have two options as white, but one of them is really bad because I simply go over here. Now the king needs to go again to a dark square. Remember then, any light square is a target for the bishop, so giving the simple extra tempo to promote the pawn. And so the king needs to go over here. And now notice how the king is too far away from the f2 pawn. So there is no way this king can reach and counterbalance the attack it's going to be target. So over here, the king just comes to h4. And after, let's say, for example, a move like this one, I simply remove my bishop, let's say for a2. And there's no way I can avoid the promotion because if I move my pawn, then I just allow the king to take it back. Okay, so over here we have the first situation. We went to a dark square, and now again the king comes to another dark square. And now again two options. And as you are already seeing, if I go, for example, to g7, okay, we just need to count moves, 1, 2. So it's not going to come on time. So I reach the same situation. and now I remove the bishop, and whatever the move, let's say for example over here I promote to a queen, and if I try the simple move of advancing the g pawn, it's a game over again. So as you can see, life is easier when we understand what are the plans from the opponent and what are our possibilities. So over here, I need to go, of course, to c5. And the king comes to e5, and again, two options. Can I go to b6? Well, this is a bit different, because notice what happens now. If the king tries to go to h4, so 1, 2, 3 moves, I can also come and I will be next to the pawn. Let's say, for example, I go over here, and now the bishop, the king tries to approach the pawn. Okay, here is a blunder, because I can simply play g3. Let's go for the other side. Sorry. Uh, Now I can come and approach the pawn at the same time. So notice that now I will grab the pawn. So even if the bishop moves away, okay, it's going to be a draw. And it's just going to be a draw because I need to sacrifice my bishop over here. The bishop takes back, and the king will be able to control the corner, and the bishop is a light square. The promotion is a dark one. This is a draw. Uh, okay. So over here, we saw that going to b6 is already the right move. But let's say the king comes to b4. Well, this is going to be a blunder, because it allows the king to force my king to that situation where it will be forced to go to a light square. If it comes here, I go here. Next move, it's a light square, so it's going to lose. And if it goes to a5, well, the same idea shows up. It's a force going to a4, then a check, and then a promotion. Okay, let's go back over here, and we already know this is the right move. Of course, black here has not many options. We already saw this one was a blunder, of course. We already saw that it can reach the bishop in 3 moves, but we also have 3 moves to reach the pawn. So the king is forced to come to the 6. Here again, we already know that going to a5 is a mistake, because we are going to do the opposition and force the king to go to a light square. So this is the only option, and again we reach this moment. And this is the key moment, because finally we are able to see that luckily enough, we have one light square where we can go, which is a8, and there is no check available. Of course, going over here is not an option, and the, I am in a zugzang again. So the king comes to a dark square, but then the king comes to another dark square, and it's impossible to progress. Why? Because if I remove the king, let's say, to a light square, let's say whatever, to this one, I can simply keep my king over here, and it's impossible to force it to move away. It's a draw. So, in resume, this study, it's very interesting, because it enables us to think deeper on the plans for each side. And as soon as we see what are the options for each side to play, black to a win and white to a draw, it's easier to find the correct solution. I hope you also have enjoyed it, and as always, I catch you with future studies. Bye bye.